Hi friends, welcome back to our little cottage here on the river in the far north of Idaho. So as this video is being posted, we are still on our big vacation down in Colorado, and we will be getting home about a few days after this video is posted. So in my next video, I hope to share with you guys some of the highlights from our trip and just kind of share what we did, some of the food that I made while we were camping, and all of that good stuff. But in this video, I'm going to share with you my recipe for a very simple all-purpose pickling brine that you can use to pickle all sorts of different things. And here I'm harvesting the radishes out of my garden. And this was before we left on our vacation. And these radishes were going to mature while we were on vacation, and I did not want them to get too big and crack and bolt and just go bad before we could harvest them. So I went ahead and harvested about half of the radishes from my garden, and in order to preserve them, I decided to do a really quick, simple pickle that they can just be stored in the fridge. So I'm not actually canning them, but they can go into the pickling brine in a jar and be stored in the fridge for quite a while. These will last in the fridge for a long time. And of course, the radish greens are edible, and I have taken them before and chopped them up and sauteed them in butter. You can also put them in salad. I find that they're a little bit sometimes bitter and can be kind of peppery, but if I'm going to eat them, I really enjoy sauteing them. But anyway, this batch was going to the chickens because, we were heading out on vacation, so they enjoyed a wonderful, fresh, green treat with the radish greens. And of course, the first thing I needed to do was to get the radishes nice and clean. And they, of course, are little root vegetables, so inevitably they are covered in dirt. And so here I am rinsing them, and I rinsed them 4 or 5 times to make sure that I got all of the dirt off. And after the radishes were clean, it was time to make the pickling brine. And as I mentioned, this pickling brine is all purpose. You can use it for all sorts of different things, all sorts of vegetables out of your garden, or even vegetables from the store. If you want to make a quick pickle with something you get from the store, you can absolutely use this pickling brine. And it's as simple as equal parts water to white vinegar. And so you just want to remember that ratio. So if you're going to use 1 cup of vinegar, you're going to add 1 cup of water. And so don't pay too much attention to what I am doing here. I was kind of winging it in the video, but I will have the exact measurements for you over on my blog, homespunannie.com, and I will also have that recipe linked in the description box below. But here you're going to put them in a pot on the stove. You're going to want to add, depending on the amount of brine you're making. So here I was making about 4 cups of brine. So I added 2 tablespoons of sugar and then a couple teaspoons of salt, and got those heating up on the stove in the water and vinegar mixture. And my husband wanted to, of course, try the fresh radishes straight from the garden, and we both agree that radishes straight from the garden taste so much better than radishes from the store. So anyway, we absolutely love fresh radishes from the garden. So here I am just putting them in a large half-gallon mason jar, and of course you can use whatever size you have. But yeah, I just had a half-gallon size mason jar, so I wanted to get that filled up. And to that I added about 5 or 6 cloves of garlic that has been peeled, and then about 5 sprigs of thyme, fresh thyme from my garden, and just started putting these all in the mason jar while the brine is coming to a boil. And I just went ahead and left the little root ends on. You can, of course, trim those off, but for the sake of just wanting to get this done quickly, and it's really not a big deal to leave them on, I just left them on this time around. And then once the brine has come to a boil, you just simply want to take and pour it over the top of the radishes. And the bummer thing about this is the radishes have these beautiful colors. I grew a batch of these. They're called Easter egg radishes because they're like purple and pink and white. But once they sit in the vinegar for a while, or the pickling brine, they will, the color starts to leach out of them. And so they will lose that beautiful color. But yeah, they still taste absolutely delicious though. So one of the great things about this brine is that you can play around with it and add any kind of seasonings that you like. You can use this, add some dill to it, add some peppercorns or chili flakes, rosemary. I mean, any kind of herbs, anything you kind of want to play around with, you can totally try it out and play around with this brine. And once I have the brine in the jar, I will put the lid on, and it's boiling hot, and I will let this sit out on the counter until it comes to room temperature before I stick it in the fridge. And then you just throw this in the fridge, and I would wait at least 2 weeks before eating them just to really get a good pickle on them. And then this will store in the fridge for quite a while. And I'm not even sure how long it would last in the fridge because we will eat these up very quickly. But we love to slice them up and put them on tacos, put them in salad. And then here I still had some radishes left over that didn't fit in the jar. And so I decided to go ahead and slice some of the radishes and pickle these already sliced. And because these are sliced, these will actually be ready quicker than the whole radishes. So if you slice them like this, I mean, you could leave them even for just a couple days and they would already have a nice pickle on them. So if you want them to pickle a little bit quicker, you can slice them. And so I'll just slice some of these up, put them in a smaller mason jar, and same thing, I will just pour the boiling brine over the top. I'll throw in 1 or 2 garlic cloves, a sprig of thyme, and as I said, you can definitely play around with this brine with different flavors and seasonings and have some fun with it. Another great thing about this brine is you could make a batch of just the brine ahead of time. Just make it in a pot on the stove, put your herbs and your garlic and things like that in it, and then put it in some mason jars and store it in the fridge, and it will be ready to go when you have some more vegetables you want to pickle. If you, let's say you have some veggies in the fridge that are going to go bad, like if you have bell peppers or carrots, whatever, and you don't want to throw them out, you can chop them up, slice them up, whatever, and toss them into the pickling brine and just keep it in the fridge. And in a couple weeks, you'll have some really yummy pickled peppers, carrots. You could do this with cauliflower, really whatever. Just have fun and experiment with it. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Share with someone else you think would enjoy it. And I will talk to you guys in the next video.